Doesn't that make you just want to dance? All right. I'm trying to remember where we left off because I lost my bookmark in the book. So that's how I'm doing today. I also completely forgot I had a live until like literally 2 minutes ago. So I apologize for being late. Let me check and see if it's live on Facebook, because I didn't get the notification like I normally do. And I am. Now let's see. I think I left off at chapter 14, but let me double check real quick. Completely ill prepared for this, so I apologize. I am reading on my YouTube. I'm reading from Michael Ciccini's Anatomy of a False Confession, the Interrogation of Brendan Dassey. So that's what I am reading from. I just want to check from last. Did you know there's this thing that you can do where you can show a transcript of your life? Hey, Mose, I don't know where everybody is. Let's see. While I'm looking for this, again, I'm sending out postcards. I sent out a whole bunch more postcards. I'm going to continue to send out postcards this month and get rid of them. Even if I sent you postcards, you're probably going to get more because it is Brendan's birthday month and I want people to hit hard on Governor Evers, Mark Wiegert, all the above. So look out for more postcards if I already have your address. Mose, you know I'm talking to you too, buddy. So that way we can just start sending them. It's also getting close to Election Day in Wisconsin. I believe that's in November. So yeah, we really want to make sure that Governor Evers and Mark Wiegert get those postcards. Sorry. Let's see that, blah, blah, blah. Questions so far, reading. Let's see. I think, yeah, so I left off at, hey, Rhonda. I think I left off at chapter 16. It's not your fault. I think that's where I left off because I remember reading Baby Steps, which was chapter 15. I just want to make sure real quick. And while I do that, I'm going to post this picture up again. Because like I said, if you guys want postcards, make sure you contact me, and then Rhonda SC in chat. She does the UK postcards. So make sure you hit one of us and we'll send you more. If we haven't, I know, like I said, if I have your address, you're getting a postcard. So let's see. I also want to apologize for not going live yesterday. I wasn't feeling too great with my throat and congestion. I think I'm trying to catch something. So I took yesterday off and I slept. And then I actually also had to go into work early, so I really took advantage of sleeping. I'm just going to start reading from chapter 16. Because I believe that's where I left off. Chapter 16. So I'm on page 79. Chapter 16, It's Not Your Fault. And we will read chapter 17, chapter 18. So that's 3 chapters. And then maybe chapter 19. We'll see how I feel at chapter 19 because that's 70. It's about 20 pages. Desert cold. Yeah. It's because the seasons are changing. To be honest with you, that's why. Because everything's getting colder out here. So chapter 16, It's Not Your Fault. The previous chapters illustrate how many of the techniques that Uyghur and Fassbender employed to produce Dassey's confession. But even the government's interrogation machinery, as powerful as it is, can bog down once in a while. Therefore, the interrogators had to apply an occasional dewlap of grease to keep it running smoothly. And one of those forms of grease is a tactic called minimalization. Minimalization is a soft sell technique in which the detective tries to lull the suspect into a false sense of security by offering sympathy, tolerance, face-saving excuses, and moral justification, by blaming the accomplice and by underplaying the seriousness or magnitude of the charges. And this tactic is highly effective. Controlled studies have demonstrated that minimization techniques are effective in persuading guilty suspects to confess. Unfortunately, they also induce some innocent suspects to confess falsely. Indeed, in one realistic simulation, an investigator produced 43% of innocent suspects to provide a false confession by minimalizing the seriousness of the offense by offering sympathy and face-saving excuse. So whatever the interrogation would hit a solid sticking point, a point where Dassey might have been thinking that perhaps talking to his interrogators wasn't such a good idea, Fassbender and Uyghur shifted into minimalization mode. From Dassey's perspective, this was a welcoming change and provided a temporary relief from the interrogators' equally effectively maximization tactics. The minimalization strategy was evident early in the process. As Dassey told the Marinette detectives on November 6, 2005, he was concerned that the police were going to take his uncle Stephen away from him and wrongly imprison him a second time. And Uyghur and Fassbender knew this. As Chapter 4 explained, Uyghur testified that he received Dassey's statement to the Marinette detectives before he and Fassbender put the screws to the child on February 27, 2006 at Mishicot High School. Given this, they began their interrogation of Dassey by minimalizing what Avery had done. They offered tolerance and a face-saving excuse for his behavior. Whether it was an accident that Stephen did it, truthfully, I don't believe Stephen intended to kill her. Then, to get Dassey talking about having seen body parts in the fire, they minimized Dassey's role and shift the blame towards Avery's conduct, rather than anything Dassey might have done. Mark and I are both going, well, he's a kid, and he had nothing to do with this. And whether Stephen got him out there to help build a fire, and he inevitably saw some things, that's what it would be. It wouldn't be that Brendan actually helped him dispose of this body. These memoization techniques were occasionally applied throughout the many interrogations. This form of grease ensured that the false confession machinery continued to operate and Dassey continued to talk. For example, after he agreed with interrogators that he had seen clothing, then blood, then body parts, and then the entire body in the fire, Fassbender got a little too confrontational. And you never said anything to him. Have you told this to anyone? Realized he may have gotten too aggressive, he quickly went back to minimization mode. And that is what's been bothering you a lot, and I understand that. That's normal because you've done nothing wrong. When the interrogators got to each new stage of their questioning, they would use more minimization tactics to keep things rolling. For example, in order to get Dassey to admit that rather than merely seeing the body in the fire, he actually helped Avery put it there, the interrogators offered Dassey an out by once again minimizing his conduct. He was telling you to do it. Dassey still denied having assisted Avery, so Fassbender offered a more specific, face-saving excuse. He used you for this. He threatened you. Tell us that. Similarity, when the interrogators wanted to move from getting Dassey to say that he helped dispose of the bodies to saying that he raped Hallback, Avery was once again the bad guy. Wiegert began. He brings you back there and he shows you her, and what do? It's not your fault. He makes you do it. Dassey won't admit to the rape. So Fassbender joins in, making Avery rather than Dassey the focus. What does Stephen make you do? Likewise, when it comes to time for interrogators to nudge Dassey from rape to murder, it is Avery, not Dassey, who is to blame. Wiegert began, we know something else was done. Tell us. And what else did you do? Come on. To induce a response, Fassbender offered a now familiar moral bailout. He made you do it, Brendan. We know he made you do something else. Fassbender continued, stressing that the devil, so to speak, made Dassey do it. He made you do something to her, didn't he? So he would feel better about not being the only person, right? Yeah. What did he make you do to her? Wiegert hammered home the message. What did he make you do, Brendan? It's okay. What did he make you do? When viewed in isolation, some of these memoization tactics look incredibly absurd. Going back to the first tactic, where the interrogators minimized Avery's alleged murder as an accident, some suspects might have thought, or even said, really, Mark and Tom? You think that if Avery murdered a woman and burned her corpse, it was just an accident? And you truthfully believe that Avery did not intend to do those things? If that's your idea of truth, then there's no point in talking to you. So I'm ending this interrogation right now. In fact, when Wiegert and Fassbender tried this accident-themed interrogation on Stephen Avery, it failed miserably. Stepping away momentarily from Dassey's case, considered Avery's station house interrogation right before his formal arrest. Avery knew that the face-saving accident excuse Wiegert and Fassbender were selling him was absurd. They began by asking him, how long were you put away for? Did you say? Referring to his wrongful conviction and 18-year imprisonment in the Penny Bernstein rape case. Was that rough on you? I understand that. That kind of screws the guy up a bit. Then, with regarding to Hallback's murder and corpse burning, they offered Avery a way out. Hey, if this was an accident, I don't think you meant for this to happen. It was probably a mistake. It was most likely a mistake. They then confronted Avery with fabricating evidence and other bold-faced lies, telling him that Hallback's blood and DNA were found inside his trailer. None was. And they had obtained his bloody paw print. They hadn't. And that the bloodhound had retraced his precise movements during the crime. It hadn't. And that the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department, which was potentially on the hook in Avery's civil lawsuit, had nothing whatsoever to do with the finding. Hallback's key in his bedroom, it had. Finding Hallback's key? Okay, let me reread that so it makes better sense. Which potentially on the hook in Avery's lawsuit had nothing whatsoever to do with finding Hallback's key in his bedroom. It had. This overwhelming evidence, they insisted, left Avery with only two choices. It's just a matter of, did you do this intentionally or was it an accident? They tried to persuade Avery that if he admitted to accidentally killing Hallbuck and burning her corpse, that they would be okay. However, if it's not a mistake, that makes you a cold-blooded killer. If it's a mistake, then I understand it. The judge understands it. The jury understands. But if it's not a mistake, that means it's intentional and you're a cold-blooded killer. Avery refused to buy either one of those choices, and his interrogators were selling. And regardless of one's opinion of his actual guilt or innocence, this much is undeniable. Avery offered Wiegert and Fassbender a far more plausible explanation than the accident murder theory that they were pushing. Avery said, "I didn't do it. Someone's doing a good job on me." Hey, Megan. So I'm going to pause this chapter and I'm going to say, a lot of people ask me or propose the question, why would Brendan commit to something that he didn't do? And I think this chapter is a very good chapter as far as an example of what you could say. Well, if you have, like, how could he admit to raping a woman? Brendan doesn't have it in him to rape a woman, so why would he admit to that? Well, if they minimize, the whole thing and say, "Hey, it's okay, it's okay. It's okay if you did that. It's okay. Just tell us. Just tell us." And, you know, we'll help you and blah blah blah, but it's okay. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal. It kind of downplays the crime. It's a horrific crime, but it downplays it for him enough to where he can say, "Yeah, okay, you're saying it's not that big of a deal, so I'll say, yeah. I'll add that to the list of things that you're saying that I should say." So, but like a logical thinking and normally if you were to ask somebody like, "Hey, did you rape somebody?" No, God no. That's awful. But if you're in an interrogation process and you're sitting there for hours on end and someone finally is just like, "Look, it's okay. It's not your fault. It's okay. Like, it's not that big of a deal. It's all right. Just admit that you did it. Just admit that you did it. He made you do it, right? Let's go with that." Eventually he's going to break down. He's going to say, "Well, I guess, I'll say I did it." So, anybody have any questions before I continue on to chapter 17? Bueller, Bueller, Bueller. No? Okay. So, chapter 17, positive feedback, page 83. Positive feedback is a powerful tool, considering its use in the context of eyewitness identifications. Most jurors associate an eyewitness' confidence level with the accuracy of his identification. That is, the more confident the witness was when he picked the defendant out of a lineup, the more likely the jury is to find the defendant guilty. However, confidence can be increased artificially. For example, positive feedback from an officer after the identification procedure will reaffirm the witness's choice, thereby increasing confidence. This type of feedback from police not only inflates the eyewitness's confidence level, but also studies have shown that it also leads them to report that they had a better view of the culprit, that they could make out details of the face, that their memorial image of the person was particularly clear, and that they were adept to recognizing faces of strangers. I just also want to pause here and say eyewitness accounts are one of the most leading leading reasons for wrongful convictions. Eyewitness accounts are not reliable. They are not reliable. They are definitely not reliable. Your mind is not a great computer. I mean, it's powerful. Our minds are powerful, but we're stupid. And we cannot remember certain details. So what our mind does is actually remarkable what our mind does. Scientifically, let's say you have a memory. You only process about 35% of that memory. The rest of it is your brain plugging in things to make it make sense to you. So, like, for instance, childhood memories, you're actually remembering, like, half of those, and the rest of it, you're plugging it into what makes sense to you for the time. That's why a lot of times I hate to say this, but, like, children who've been, like, in a very abusive situations especially, have a hard time, bringing back up those memories later as adult and remembering them because, 1, your brain also tries to protect you as much as it possibly can. It will possibly disassociate yourself while you're going through the abuse. And 2, you can only recall certain things, and then the rest of your brain makes up for you to make the story make sense. So anytime there's an eyewitness account, I always hold eyewitness accounts with a grain of salt because you're not fully 100% remembering everything you saw. And I hate to say this, but, like, you know, take an example of Sawinski with this new Catherine Zellner thing. I'm not saying he didn't see what he thought he saw, but I don't think he exactly saw who he thought he saw. You know what I'm saying? I think he thought he saw who he thought he saw because his brain has plugged in what he thought you know what I'm saying? He saw something. I'm not saying he didn't see something. I'm just saying maybe the details aren't exactly right. Does that make sense? Like, he said he saw somebody pushing the RAV4 onto the property. It may not have been exactly a RAV4. It could have been any kind of car, you know? He said he saw an older man with a long beard helping him, Santa Claus. So, God knows if that actually was the case. I'm just saying. That doesn't mean that he didn't see something. It's just, our brains only process so much of that in the moment. Plus, that was 20 years ago. That's the other thing. When you've got a case that's been um, so many years ago, and then you're trying to use them as an eyewitness, like, I would say even more than a couple of months. That's really hard. They're not going to remember all of that. So, anyway, that's just my 2 cents on eyewitness accounts. Hopefully, I hope that, by the way, I just want to say, I really hope that Zellner's brief goes through and it works out for Steven and that it works out for Brendan. But I think the fact that he saw something is important and it was ignored, not so much what he saw. Anyway. Okay. I just got up and plugged my switch in. That's why I was stalling a little bit too. All right, so where did I leave off? Yeah, right here. Staying with this example of eyewitness identification for a moment, recall the 3 identification procedures that the Manitowoc Sheriff's Department administered for Penny Bernstein, the victim in Avery's first conviction in the mid-1980s. The deputies had her identify Avery as a perpetrator 3 times, first in a single sketch show-up procedure, then in a photo array procedure, then in a lineup procedure. Given how badly the deputies wanted Avery to be guilty of that crime, it would not be surprising if they had praised Bernstein and unleashed the confetti after each of her 3 positive identifications. Oh, okay. I was like, there's 2 Megans. Oh, I see it now. Um, 3 identified positive. Such positive feedback would certainly account for her high confidence level when she falsely identified Avery in court. If positive feedback from the police can have such a dramatic effect on adults in the context of an eyewitness identification procedure, a situation where the feedback can literally alter the witness' memory of event, imagine the impact that positive feedback would have on a scared, isolated, highly suggestible, learning disabled child with a bad memory. Just as Wiegert and Fassbender used minimalization as a form of grease to keep the interrogation machine running smoothly, so did they use positive feedback for the same purpose. They would praise Dassey every time he said something or even headed in the general direction of which they approved. For example, after the Mishicot High School interrogation, they knew they would want more statements, 4 more, as it turned out. In the 5th statement, coming after the state filed its criminal complaint, Dassey was represented by Len Kaczynski, so Fassbender doled out some positive feedback for the child's performance up to that point. I want to say that I'm extremely proud of you and what you did. Had to be very, very difficult, and you're one hell of a kid because that had to be the hardest thing you probably ever done in your life. And I don't even know if I could feel that you had to just do, and I truly believe you're one hell of a kid. Who said that to him? Fassbender said that to him. I was gonna say if Uyghur said that to him, I was gonna send a card with that. Not to left out of the praise party, Uyghur artfully added, and that goes for both of us. We both believe that. Oh, I will send it to him now. Hold on. I just wanna make a note here. Oh yes, now I'm definitely gonna send that to him. All right. When the multi-part interrogation recommended, so did the positive feedback. When the interrogators wanted to add the sexual assault angle to Dassey's story, they said, "Okay, Brendan, you're doing a good job. Tell us more about what you heard. Was a female screaming?" And after going around in circles and finally getting Dassey to say that Avery admitted to raping Hallback, they rewarded him. "Now we can start believing you, okay?" Similarly, when the interrogators asked for details about what Avery and Dassey did in the garage, they made sure Dassey knew that he was on the right track. "Okay, Brendan, we gotta. I think you're doing a real good job up to this point of coming forward and stuff. Again, we know that some things happened in that garage and in that car. We know that. You need to tell us about this so we know you're telling the truth." So Dassey tried to tell them the details they wanted. After all, they had said he was doing a really good job. But if they didn't keep doing a good job, they wouldn't go to bat for him with all the other government agents who wanted to prosecute him. But despite his best efforts, Dassey wasn't able to provide the right details. When asked whether Halbach was shot on the garage floor or in the truck, he guessed wrong. In the truck? Quite obviously, this was guessed rather than a lie. But at this point, Dassey had already admitted to raping Halbach, helping Avery murder her, and helped him put her body in the fire. What advantage can he possibly gain from saying that Avery was shot in her truck if, in fact, he knew she had been shot on the garage floor? The truck or the garage, who cares? It certainly made no difference from Dassey's standpoint. However, Wiegert and Fassbender cared a great deal. Their theory of the case was that Halbach was shot in the garage floor. Their desire to shape the confession prompted Wiegert to say, come on. Now where was she shot? Be honest here." Fassbender added, now tiresome refrain, "The truth." In order to please Wiegert and Fassbender, Dassey changed his answer to the only remaining option, that the 2-option multiple choice question. Halbach was shot, he now said, in the garage. He even added, parroting his interrogator's words, she was on the garage floor. This pleased the interrogators, who offered some more well-timed positive feedback. She was on the garage floor. Okay, that makes sense. Now we believe you. And this was quite good from Dassey's perspective, as Fassbender had told him repeatedly, I gotta believe in you in order to go to bat for you. And the interrogators were believing in him. After 2 days and 4 interrogations, 2 days and 4 interrogations, Wiegert and Fassbender had just turned Dassey from Avery's witness, remember. Dassey initially reported seeing Halbach drive away from what the police believed was the scene of her murder, into the state star witness against Avery. Granted, the story was so unbelievable that prosecutor Ken Kratz ultimately decided not to use it, or Dassey, at Avery's trial, but the interrogators didn't know that at the time. So even as they were taking Dassey into custody after their 4th interrogation, Wiegert continued the positive feedback. Brendan, you did the right thing. So you did the right thing here by telling us what happened, okay? To add additional insult to injury, he trotted out the honest theme one last time. Just remember that in the future, okay? You need to be honest. Fassbender, and perhaps the biggest lie of the entire case, then added, "Your cooperation and help with us is going to work in your favor." He then chapped things off in a businesslike fashion with a final request. Given that he believed Kratz would want Dassey to testify at Avery's trial, Fassbender told Dassey that the state would appreciate your continued cooperation. Hey Dozer, you missed 2 whole chapters. That just made me incredibly sad. I'm sorry. Hold 1 second. If you guys want to, if you go over to Jinx Thanks channel, she has the whole entire interrogation, I believe, of Brendan up. Let me see if I can get that for you guys. I just see it in my head. That's what makes me sad. Because I've seen the whole entire thing. I've seen from the beginning when he walks in to the very last moment when he walks out. So, I'm seeing that whole scene where he's in my head because I remember it very well, where he's being when they finally put him in handcuffs and walk him out. Um Mystic Drinks, thanks. Hold on, let me see if she has it still up. I know she sometimes deactivates videos or hides them or something like that. But let me see if I still have let's call out use Sherry murder. Done. Yeah, I don't see it up anymore. Oh wait, here it is. This is 5 hours long, by the way, and it's really like I said, it's a hard thing to watch, so, I mean, I don't judge anybody if they can't watch it, like, I totally get it. But I'm one of those people where I have to watch it as many times as I possibly can to understand it, to pick up anything that I possibly can. But if you guys are at all interested in watching the whole complete entire thing, there's the link. I just posted it in the chat on YouTube here. I might post it in the group, but it's towards the end there, obviously, when Barb comes in and he's sitting on the couch and we are still talking, and then they all leave and they just leave him there sitting there, and he sits there and he sits there and he sits there all the way up until the end when they come back in and then they take him away. So it's up to you guys if you want to watch that, but it's pretty hard to watch. It's emotional. um anyway, chapter 18. Oh, I just got a text. Ooh, sorry. So I'm sorry. I was just reading. My friend just texted me saying, "Do you want to go to a spooky forest in Illinois?" And yeah. I'm always down for that. Anyway, so all right, chapter 18, would you like a sandwich? Page 87. When I first started practicing law, my mom came to court to watch one of my cases. She had arrived early and watched the previous case, a suppression hearing where the defense lawyer argued that his client's confession to the police was not voluntary and therefore should not be used at trial. The testimony and argument, my mom later told me, was dominated by a single issue: whether police offered the defendant a sandwich, snack, or beverage. My mom thought the prosecutor and judge were either slow on the uptake or nuts, as she put it, for dwelling on such an obvious, irrelevant topic. And to the intellectual observer outside the world of criminal law, sodas and snack foods would have little to do with the admissibility of confession. Yet, whether the police interrogate a suspect, they magically turn into the most generous hosts on the planet. Even the cops in Middle Wisconsin will demonstrate an unparalleled level of Southern hospitality. This raises two questions. Did Uyghur and Fassbender offer Dassey a sandwich, snack, or beverage, and if so, why? The answer to the first question is yes. Uyghur and Fassbender offered Dassey more food and beverages than he could possibly consume. More on that below. The answer to the second question, why? This is, when the police interrogate a suspect, they not only want the suspect to confess, but they also want to endure the prosecutor will be able to use that confession at the suspect turned defendant's jury trial. As discussed in Chapter 12, in order to be admissible, the confession must have product of the defendant's free and voluntary choice. And as fans of Making a Murder know, Wisconsin appealing courts will label just about anything as voluntary. Judges simply do not want to suppress the defendant's confession under any circumstances. So a court will look at little things in which hang its hat, thus allowing it to find the confession was not coerced, but instead was made the defendant's own free will. So what do snacks and sodas have to do with that? As Dassey State Appealant Court held, they would go to whether the police applied improper procedures on Dassey. If the interrogators offered him food and something to drink, that was a figuratively box that the court could check in favor of no improper procedures. And once a couple of these figurative boxes on the state side of the ledger would have been checked, the court can find that the confession was voluntary. No matter how many different pressure tactics the interrogators actually used. Dassey State Appealant Court decision was incredibly brief and devoid of any analysis, literally. The decision merely summarized and adopted the trial judge's findings. The appellant court spent one paragraph regurgitating a few case names and then using two short paragraphs to dispense with Dassey's argument. And right near the beginning of those two paragraphs, the court checked the food and beverage box in favor of the state. The court wrote, Dassey was interviewed while sitting on a upholstered couch, never was physically restrained, and was offered food, beverages, and restroom breaks. This combined with another true but irrelevant fact that Dassey was enrolled in mostly regular track high school classes, and one colossal falsehood that Uyghur and Fassbender did not use threats or promises of leniency, which is a lie, was more than enough for the appellant court to agree with the trial court. Dassey's confession was voluntary and admissible. Uyghur and Fassbender have been trained that the appellant court would later rely on their generosity with food and drink. That's why they incorporated another simple trick into their interrogation routine. They repeatedly asked Dassey if he wanted a sandwich, snack, or soda. For example, at Mishicot High School, right after drilling Dassey about seeing arms, legs, skulls, and other body parts, Uyghur asked him, do you think you want to take a break, get a soda? You need something to drink? Dassey declined. But because police interrogators have difficult time taking no for an answer in any context, Fassbender pressed, what kind? Do you want something? Similarity, after getting into more gory detail at the Two Rivers Police Department, Uyghur asked, Are you doing okay? Do you need a soda or something? My sick humor is thinking, if I was sitting there and I was confessing to see a body in a fire and, like, engulfed in flames and how horrific that sight and smell and anything, and the first thing the interrogator's like, "Mhm, that's interesting. Would you like a sandwich?" No, no, thank you. No, I'm good, thank you. Like, can you imagine? Oh my god. I had to stop eating meat after watching the Dahmer season episode or the season on Netflix. Like, that's how sensitive my appetite is to certain things. So, I think I would laugh, though, if I was in that situation. They're like, "Would you like a sandwich?" After just admitting to something so horrific. It's like a really horrific sight. I cannot even describe how horrific it is to see what they tried to make Brendan, say that he saw, like, and then be like, "Hey, would you like something to drink? Would you like a sandwich?" Like, oh my god. The interrogator's generosity continued and, in fact, dramatically improved at the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department interrogation. Even after Dassey told them he wasn't hungry, because why would he be? That would ruin anybody's appetite, right? Fassbender asked, "Drink anything? Big a bag of chips or something? Because this may, be a little while." "Nah," Dassey responded. Fassbender then reinforced the classic cop stereotype. "Okay, donut?" Like a donut. Uh, I like this guy's sense of humor in this book, by the way. If you guys ever wanna, like, pick this book up and, like, support the author, buy the book and then totally just read for it yourself. I just love this guy's sense of humor. Um, Dassey declined that snack food as well. Short time later, Fassbender pressed soda, water. You sure? The interrogator's generosity was ongoing. After their discussion of Halbach's rape, blood-soaked throat slashing, and murder by gunshot, Uyghur interjected, "You need a break? Any soda or something? Okay, we can get you a soda if you want one. Would you like one?" Fassbender added, "We got some food up here, sandwich or anything. You want something? Are you sure?" Not surprisingly, given the gory topic of discussion and uncomfortable position he was in, Dassey responded, "Not hungry." Not to be deterred, within minutes, Fassbender was back at it. "Want something to eat? You sure?" Dassey again explained that the obvious, "Ain't hungry." Wiegert, perhaps having missed some of the food-related discourse, wanted to leave nothing to chance. To make Dassey's culinary desires were satisfied, he asked, "Sandwich or anything?" Then, after more discussion of how Dassey allegedly disposed of Halbut's blood-drenched body, Fassbender resumed the role of head waiter. "Do you want something to eat? Looks like you're a little hungry." Wiegert again offered the menu's sole choice for the main course. "How about a sandwich? Should we get you a sandwich?" Offering food and beverage is such an ingrained part of Uyghur and Fassbender's routine that, much like lying to the suspect, it is probably difficult to turn off. Even after the interrogation ended, and Fassbender was watching Dassey say goodbye to his mother before being ripped away from his simple existence being locked in a cage, he reflectively asked, "Do you want another water, Brendan?" God. Interestingly, Wiegert and Fassbender had asked Dassey so many times whether he wanted a soda that Dassey actually incorporated it into the yarn he was spinning about Black's rape. After the interrogators insisted that Dassey must have gone inside Avery's trailer after hearing screams, he was forced to create some details on the fly. And Ken Pratt's favorite part of the confession, Dassey said he knocked on Avery's door and he was greeted by his sweaty uncle. He got a white shirt on with red shorts, all sweaty. According to Dassey's story, he entered the trailer where Halbach was tied up in the bedroom, still screaming. Avery then told Dassey that he was in the middle of sexually assaulting her. On the edge of their seats and eager for details, Fassbender urges Dassey to play the video in your mind for us, bud. Tell us what happened. Which, okay, I just want to also say a lot of people have the theory that so this interrogation, the March 1st, happened after he stayed at Fox Hills, which I believe was on February. And so he stayed at it was February 20. It was like the Fox Hills before this interrogation. And a lot of people have the theory that so Brendan said he read the book Kiss the Girls and that's where he got the story from or details from the story. And a lot of people feel like because this movie actually came out around this time, it was playing all the time on TV, that the theory is that Fassbender and Wiegert actually had Brendan watch the movie to get details of the crime. And that's why this line right here, play the video in your mind for us, bud. Tell us what's happening. As if they're saying, remember that movie we showed you last night. Recall it for us again. I don't know if that's true. I know Barb has made multiple instances. I've seen her on Foul Play make multiple comments that nothing happened at Fox Hills. But there's no indefinite way of knowing yes or no because it wasn't recorded. The recording conveniently was not working and malfunctioned for Fox Hills. So we don't have any recordings and stuff, much like we have with all this other stuff. So I'm not discounting Barb saying that nothing happened, but we really honestly don't know. But that's just a theory I just want to put out there because they happen to mention the sentence, play the video in your mind for us, bud. Tell us what's happening. Just a thought. I don't know. It could have been. I think the movie was playing. I remember back then pretty clearly actually, early 2000, 2005, 2006. Because I graduated high school in 2005. So I actually have a really good memory of the year 2005. And I remember that movie playing all the time on TBS, on this TV station called TBS. And they edited it for cable TV. And this was when I first started noticing that they were taking R-rated movies and editing them down to be PG-13 to play on TV, cable TV. So I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm not saying he didn't read the book, but I think that he had multiple instances of watching that movie that year, not just at Fox Hills, if that makes sense. Because I watched it on TV around that same time. There's a bunch of movies I remember watching on TV that were rated R, but they edited out stuff and they changed the language. They changed the language to be not cuss wordy. Like instead of saying, God damn it, they would say, gosh darn it. And I always thought that's why I watched those movies because I thought that was hilarious. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. So back to on the edge of their seats and eager for details, Fassbender urges Dassey to play the video in your mind for us, bud. Tell us what happened. The following exchange ensues. Brendan, he asked me in the kitchen. Wiegert, yeah, he what? Brendan, he walks me into the kitchen. Fassbender, what does he say to you? Brendan, if I want a soda. Fassbender, does he know you've heard Halbach screaming? Is she still saying stuff? Brendan, yeah. Wiegert, it's okay. Tell us what happened. What did he say to you? Brendan, that he never got some of that stuff Halbach. That he never got some of that stuff, so he wanted to get some. Oh, wait. The way he puts Halbach's name. I think he's referring to sex, though, not Halbach. Fassbender, now I can start believing you, okay? Wiegert. So did you have a soda? Brendan. Mm-hmm. Wiegert. And what happens next? Brendan. I open the soda and I drink some. Dassey then explains that their discussion over a soda included Avery expressing his plan to continue the sexual assault and his invitation that Dassey join in the crime. One would think that, even for the most experienced criminals, this is not the type of thing that would be discussed casually over sodas while the victim is screaming in the nearby room, and it certainly doesn't seem like something a first time 16-year-old criminal who had been calm enough to do. Instead, it is far more likely that Dassey heard Wiegert and Fassbender offer him soda so many times that he simply weaved it into his story to buy time while dreaming up the next detail. In any case, even after interrogators concluded, Wiegert and Fassbender's generosity did not end. After they told Dassey's mother that her 16-year-old son had just confessed to committing a violent rape and murder and was going to jail, Fassbender couldn't stop himself. "Did you want a sandwich, Barb? We have some here." Barb's response exposed the pure absurdity of Fassbender's offer. "I'd probably just throw it up anyhow." As for the Wisconsin appellate court's reasoning that sodas and snacks can overcome a variety of interrogation tactics, including lies, threats, promises, and repeated and grossly leading questions to render a statement voluntary, that's just legal fiction. Dassey's appellate lawyers explained it best. The psychological effects of false promises of leniency cannot be cured by placing a defendant on the couch and giving him a Sprite. Any questions so far? Sorry I laughed a lot in that. The way he wrote it was really funny to me, and my sense of humor can be kind of dark. But anybody have any questions about that chapter before I continue? We're getting to almost the middle of the book. I'm going to have to... There's a bunch of photos coming up in the next few chapters, so I'm probably going to take a picture of them and when we go through those photos, I can just place them on the screen for you guys to see. But we're getting pretty far into the book. Like I said, the chapters are very small, so that makes a big difference. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and continue. Chapter 19, Remaining Overconfident. Chapter 4 demonstrated how most false confessions would not happen without the interrogator formulating a theory of the case and then refusing to modify it. Evidence be damned. Then, once the interrogator is locked into his predetermined view of events, he forces his set of facts onto the suspect, who eventually adopts to produce the false confession. But just as the police have unwavering confidence before the interrogation begins, they also maintain that level of confidence during the interrogation and after it ends. In this way, the police labor under a form of sunk cost fallacy. They are so invested in their theory that they simply must maintain the faith. If they start doubting their abilities to know what really happened, that would mean the time they invested would be lost forever. Their effort would have been wasted, and the case would remain unsolved. And nobody wants that. But keeping the faith isn't always easy, particularly when the interrogation produces an obviously fabricated story that is contradicted by the physical evidence. For example, thanks to Wiegert and Fassbender's leading questions, Dassey described a violent blood-soaked stabbing and throat slashing in Avery's bedroom, after which they dragged Avery's bleeding body through the trailer and into the garage, where Avery then shot her 10 times. Even Wiegert had to step back and wonder, at least momentarily, about the story. During a brief reality check, he asked, "You said you had cut her throat. Here's the thing, Brendan. When you cut someone's throat, they bleed a lot, okay? Am I right?" "She bled a lot." So, I know you had blood on you. It's pretty much impossible not to. Did you have blood on you? What about when you moved her? And we all know the answer to that question is I'm going to star this because I'm going to send this to Uyghur too. Yet, Dassey had no blood on his clothing or his shoes, and despite numerous searches of Avery's trailer and garage, including searches for microscopic forensic evidence conducted shortly after Halbach's remains were discovered, not a speck of Halbach's blood was found. Yet, there was ample evidence of Avery's DNA, even blood, thus demonstrating that the trailer and garage had not been scrubbed. And Uyghur and Fassbender should have additionally reservations about the yarn that they were helping Dassey spin. Not only was his story contradicted by evidence, to use Uyghur's words, his tale was pretty much impossible, but it was also internally inconsistent. Dassey's appellant lawyers explained, the officers asked Brendan to tell the story of stabbing and choking, but he couldn't keep his story straight without help. At first, Brendan said Halbach was uncuffed, tied up, stabbed, choked. But then the second telling, he said that she was stabbed, choked, and then uncuffed and tied up. At several points, the interrogators had to chime in when he showed signs of not knowing what to say. But these inconsistencies are small in the grand scheme of the 2-day interrogation extravaganza. Extra what what is that word? Hold on. Extra vaganza. Extravaganza. God, this guy. Extra vaginaza. I'm learning vocabulary. Extra. Javanjizga. Hold on.
Extravaganza.
Extravaganza. Oh my god. I had to have Google say it for me. Extravaganza. Okay. I'm not an idiot, I promise. I'm only a little bit of an idiot. So, yeah. An elaborate, spectacular entertainment or production. All right. Anywho, I hope this is all as entertaining for you all as it is for me right now. At one time, Dassey had Halbach being stabbed in an entirely different location. During the Mishicot High School interrogation, he said that Avery tied her up and stabbed her in the trunk, rather than in the bedroom of his trailer. And he told a similar story at the Two Rivers Police Department where he claimed Avery tied her up in her Jeep thing and stabbed her in the stomach. I will not be oh, you're probably sending me how to pronounce that, weren't you, Megan? I can't listen to it right now. Thank you, though, Megan. I'll listen to it after the live. Jeep thing and stabbed her in the stomach. These dramatic contradictions can be expected when interrogators use threats, promises, lies, and leading questions to produce their finished product. In many ways, Dassey was merely the conduit for their theory and was not recounting events he had personally witnessed. And the interrogators should have realized, and to some extent did realize, this was happening. For example, after they insisted that the bonfire had already been started by the time, Dassey arrived at the Avery's trailer, Fassbender realized that this didn't make sense after all. Confronting Dassey, so Dassey was the one who had previously provided this piece of information, Fassbender said Mark and I have a little trouble understanding why he got this big fire going if he was actually talking about putting her in the pond. Similarity in the most famous scene of the interrogation was Wiegert and Fassbender who got Dassey to agree with them that Avery shot Halbach, but soon they realized this didn't mesh with their other parts of the story they had created and forced on Dassey. So they asked him, "Can you tell me why, if Teresa was dead when she was in the garage, why you shoot her? Why would shoot or why he would shoot a dead body?" That was just like really. But as soon as the interrogators would have these momentary lucid insights, they would immediately suppress their doubts and soldier on with their mission. They were simply too invested in preserving Dassey's confession, and their theory of the case would let conflicting facts get in the way. Another red flag was raised when the interrogators first pressed Dassey at Michigan High School about the color of Halbach's shirt. Dassey first reported that it was a blue shirt with some blood on it, and the Two Rivers Police Department, he reiterated that it was blue and added that it was a button-up shirt and had a hole in it. But at the time of the Manitowoc Sheriff's Department interrogation, however, he described Halbach's shirt as a white t-shirt that was ripped. Within minutes, he then changed it to a black shirt that was button-up style. Wiegert again had doubts. He confronted Dassey, telling him that their earlier interrogation, "You said it was blue. Do you remember that color it was? If you don't remember, say, I don't remember." Dassey admitted that he didn't remember. Fassbender later asked Dassey, "Now the shirt, earlier you told us it had blood on it and had a hole in it. Was that not true?" "No," Dassey replied. The interrogators were faced with a child who had described the same shirt as being 3 different colors, 2 different styles, and in 2 different conditions. Once as having blood on it and a hole in it, and once having neither. The child then admitted that he made everything up. Yet Wiegert and Fassbender were only monetarily bothered by this. They viewed it as a minor speed bump rather than a substantial problem. They were so determined to obtain that and use the confession that they didn't stop to think, hey, maybe some of this makes any sense. And maybe the story keeps changing because this kid is just saying things to make us happy and not because they're true. But instead of having this moment of calm, rational reflection, Wiegert and Fassbender move forward with their mission, creating and then promptly ignoring more red flags in the process. The end product of their single-minded determination, unsurprisingly, was nonsensical mess. As false confession expert Lawrence T. White wrote in 2007 regarding Dassey's statements. By the way, Lawrence T. White, I believe, worked with Richard Leo, Dr. Richard Leo. I believe he made a mention that him and these two worked together to write a thesis paper of some sort. Hey, Verna. Brendan is a vulnerable individual due to his low intelligence, poor memory skills, and passive demeanor. The police repeatedly pressured Dassey to provide them with details that conformed to their theory of the crime. Dassey's statements were often inconsistent, ambivalent, and self-contradictory. In some, there were many reasons to question the trustworthiness and voluntariness of Dassey's so-called confession. Wiegert and Fassbender ignored these many reasons to question the trustworthiness of Dassey's story and instead reassured Brendan 5 times on February 27th and 31 times on March 1st that they already knew what he had done. So even assuming that Wiegert and Fassbender were open to new evidence before the interrogations began, once they told Dassey a total of 36 times that they already knew the truth, even they had to come to believe their own spin. The interrogators' unwavering but unwarranted belief in what happened was obvious at the end of their fourth interrogation when they broke the news to Dassey's mother, Barb, that her child had confessed to rape and murder. Even Barb knew that something wasn't right. She asked the interrogators, "Were you pressuring him?" It's hard to know at this point whether Wiegert was just playing dumb when he responded, "Who are you talking about?" When Dassey's mother stated the obvious, that she was referring to her son, Wiegert continued, "What do you mean pressuring him?" Could he really have been that clueless, or was this response more of the same cop-style gamesmanship? Wiegert then gave a short monologue that captures the essence of this chapter and a nice illustrated the interrogators' overconfidence in their abilities. "No, we told them we needed to know the truth. We've been doing this a long time, Barb, and we can tell when people aren't telling the truth." As for Dassey, he was going to jail. Despite the interrogators' multiple promises, the truth did not set him free. So that's the end of chapter 19. I just read through 4 chapters. So next week I'll read 4 more chapters. We'll start on page 97 on chapter 20. This time I have the bookmark in place, so hopefully I don't lose the bookmark in the book. And yeah, thank you all for being here. Anybody have any questions so far about what I just read? I think it's been really fascinating for me, so I hope it's been fascinating for you all as well. And I hope you all are learning something, or at least catching things that you didn't know before, or maybe it's kind of like, yeah, I did know that. You know, something good for you guys. But let me just put the bookmark right here like this. It's a sticker bookmark. We're about almost in the middle of the book. And like I said, I think the next few chapters have pictures involved in them, and they're nothing really like bad or gruesome or anything like that. But I am gonna put the pictures, like take a picture of the pictures and then put them up on the screen when we get to them, so that way you can see what I'm seeing. Excuse me. Like I said, the chapters are very short, so I might not even get to the pictures as I thought, because I have 1 more chapter, 2, 3. Oh, see, and then it'll be in chapter 3. Okay, we're in the 3rd chapter. So yeah, I'll take pictures of these and post them on the screen while we get to them, so then that way you can see what I'm talking, what the pictures are when I'm talking about the pictures. I don't see any questions in the chat, so I assume everybody is doing good with what I read. Like I said, if you guys want to buy this book, I bought it on Amazon. I think it's an awesome book so far. I'm learning a lot from it. I love the way it's written. I'm enjoying this person's sense of humor. He has a very sarcastic and kind of dark sense of humor in a sense, and I really enjoy that. I enjoy the sarcastic and dark stuff. So that's why I was laughing at the food part. Like, it's not funny, but it's kind of funny, but it's not funny. But it's a little funny. It's kind of a little funny, but it's not funny. But you know what I'm saying? Anyway, I don't know. People call me a horrible person all the time for laughing at things. But anyway, I don't care anymore. I'm 36. I don't care anymore. I am the way I am. So anyway, yeah. And tomorrow I'm doing this on a Tuesday. Normally this is on a Monday, so hopefully by next Monday I'll be doing this again. And tomorrow is Wednesday morning catch up, so I'll be back online tomorrow morning to give a little catch up. Tomorrow I'm going to announce the winner of the postcard thing, because I posted in the group and you all chose your favorite postcard. And I mean, you could go and look and see which one has the most votes, but I'm pretty much going to say it's the one with the most votes. So I'm going to show you guys, and then I'm going to show you guys another postcard I'm going to make, and then I'll be start. Friday's payday, so I'll start ordering those for you guys. And just a little side note, I think the code for the t-shirt for the merch store is over with. Hey, Jazznaz. And so if you guys want to utilize that, go to, I believe it's free Dassey, but it's the code for like 15% off, but it might be done now. Let me check it out. Or we might be like towards the end of the road with it. Yeah, it's still there. So if you guys, hold on, I have to call her back. So if you guys want to get some sort of discount on merchandise, please go and buy something, use the code, you get 15% off, and buy a t-shirt or whatever. Don't forget all the events we have coming up this month. We've got Brendan's birthday month is this month, so please leave Brendan a happy birthday message and his on the event page so we can print those off and send them. I took a picture of my sign. I'm going to be taking a picture of me holding the sign soon. I just needed to wait for my mom to feel better for her to help me to do that. So as soon as I can do that, I will. But I'm asking you all to do the same. If you have a picture, if you want to take a picture, hold on. My boss is texting me stuff. I get no rest from work ever. It's always, always, always on call. Call me when you wake up. Thank you. See, and she's like, I haven't even gone to sleep yet. Let me go see. I want to give you guys another picture. I gave an example last time I talked about the event. I showed you all Rhonda SD's picture that she did. So I'm going to show you another picture of an example of what I'm looking for these Brendan pictures. Let's see, it's the 11th. We've got 8 more days until his birthday, guys. So also make sure you get those cards in. While I'm finding this, I'm going to put the address up. So make sure you send him a birthday card. He enjoys getting cards. Even though he can't get the physical copy of the card, he loves getting cards for Christmas and birthday. So please send him a card. Please make sure that your name and address is on the top left corner of the envelope when you send it, or else he will not be able to get the card. Also, make sure you guys excuse me. Make sure you guys put the address and name inside the card too. Make sure he gets it. And then the cards that he can get are non-glitter, no perfume, no pop-outs, nothing double, like when they glue 2 cards together to make it thick. Nothing like that. He just a standard, regular card. And good places to find cards like that are the dollar store if you're in America. You've also got Text Behind website. You can go and you can create a card there and they'll send it to him. And it costs a little money, but or you can go to Moonpig.com and you can order a card there. But I'm asking if you do that, please make sure you have the card sent directly to you first, and that way you can fill it out properly and then mail it to him. Because if you do not have your name or address on the envelope at the top left corner, they will throw out the letter. He will not get it. And I don't want to call that supporter out, but even last time we talked about this, a supporter in the chat said she even forgot to put his name or her name as the return address on the envelope. Like, she just put the address, and the card was still sent back to her. Thankfully, it was sent back to her, but he was not allowed to get it because her name was not on it. So that's why you guys gotta make sure you put the name and return address at the top left corner of your letter on the envelope and inside on the letter. I hope all that made sense because that was a lot of information. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm always available to answer any kind of questions you guys have regarding the mail. I just want you guys to get, I just want him to get the letters from you guys. Like, you know, that's what's important to me is that your letters and cards and stuff get to him because they mean the world to him. They really do. So inside the birthday card too, you don't have to because I believe they copy the envelope and the card and they give it to him. But I would just in case because you never know. I would put it on both whenever you send a letter or a card. I didn't, but he also knows my address. So that's why I don't do that. But if he doesn't know your address, that's where I would do that. So, yeah, I don't put it on the inside of my cards or letters and stuff because I know he knows my address, if he wants to write me. But anyway. Excuse me, let me see, let me pull up this. Hold on, let me pull up the events. I'll show you guys a picture real quick of what I'm looking for the birthday event. But anything you guys do, by the way, is great. So even if you guys posted like a picture of a birthday card or even just a message, like honestly, all of it matters. But I'm just hoping that a few people will do this for Brendan. So then that way, because I have plans I'd like to do with those photos too. Nothing weird, but just I want to make like a video. I want to like put them on Facebook and make like a little thing with it. Like I have a plan. I want to send them to Governor Evers too. Like I have plans, guys. But this is what I'm hoping for. Plus, I think Brendan would really, really like this. To take the time and the effort to do this, I think would mean the world to him. So that's why I want to show you guys an example, another example of what, excuse me, I'm looking for. I'm just going to post this. So here is an example of what I'm looking for. This beautiful picture of supporter Leanne made a nice, oh, you can't even see it. Because the picture's in the way. Hold on. Let everything catch up. There we go. There we go. So this is what I'm looking for, guys. Just a nice picture, you smiling, holding a sign. Some people are wearing their support t-shirts, which I think is great. Just anything to really to post, and then if you have like a little birthday message you want to write, that's gonna be copied and sent to him too. So yeah, this is what I'm generally looking for, though. If you guys want to do that, but isn't that a great picture? Dassey did a great picture. So yeah, that's what I'm looking for. If you guys need any ideas. Like I said, I made a picture of, I did my sign, I posted it on the event page. I'm just gonna do a picture of me holding the sign. I also am trying to get my hair looking just right, and I don't, I'm weird. Anyway, so, I think that's all I have. yeah, like I said, make sure you join the Facebook group. That way you can keep up with the events we've got going on, and follow us on Discord. And yeah, we've got yeah. So I think that's all I really have to say. I hope everyone has a great day. And I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow when I go live for Wednesday morning catch up. And yeah, so everyone stay positive and hopeful for Brendan. Keep praying. Keep, you know, doing whatever you do to help send that positive energy to Brendan and to Stephen right now because of everything that's happening in the court. We're hoping for good news and good and a good decision from Judge. Sucks a lot. So yeah, that's all I have to say. So and what video am I going to choose to close out today? How about this one?
It means everything, to have a family that loves and supports me no matter what, and they always have my back.
Yeah, and it really is heartening to know that so many people care and still care. And what would you tell people that want to get involved, that have seen your story, who didn't really have any idea of what goes on in our justice system, but now they do? Is there anything particular that you could advise someone?
Just keep fighting for me and keep showing your love and support.